Tonight we unlock the gates to cursed Halloween carnivals, twisted laughter, and terrors lurking just beyond your sight. Welcome to Whispers After Dark, where shadows speak and the night listens. Before we start, like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss what waits in the dark. They say madness runs in blood, but sometimes it walks and sometimes it waits. This is the story of The Door Only Opens on Halloween. At the end of a long, winding road just outside a forgotten town stands a mansion few dare to visit. Its windows are dust-veiled, the ivy grown thick over stone and frame. Most say it's abandoned. They're wrong. It has a caretaker. His name is Matthew Greaves. It was his family's mansion yet. He lives in the crumbling cottage beside the estate with his wife and 3 children, surrounded by rotted shutters, sagging walls, and cold floors. They live in near poverty, scraping by on garden vegetables and what little Matthew earns fixing fences or clearing brush for nearby farms. But the mansion? It's pristine. Once a week, Matthew walks its echoing halls, dusting each banister, polishing silver candlesticks, smoothing bedsheets in long vacant rooms. He keeps the curtains drawn, the clocks wound, the fireplaces swept. Every chair is in its place, every door unlocked, except one. On the top floor, at the end of a narrow hallway, there is a heavy oak door, sealed with thick iron bolts and a rusted bar across the front. Matthew has warned his family since they were small. You are never to enter this house without me, and no matter what you hear, that door stays shut. Each Halloween, Matthew locks his family inside the caretaker's cottage at sundown. He kisses their foreheads, bolts the doors, nails the windows closed, and repeats the same chilling warning. No matter what you hear, no matter who calls or begs or screams, do not open the door. Keep the lights low, stay quiet, and don't look outside. Then he walks the path to the mansion alone, a rusted key in his hand. He opens the front door, lights a fire, climbs the stairs, and unbolts the door. By morning, the news spreads. A villager missing, sometimes 2. Once an entire family vanished overnight. The police find nothing. There are no signs of struggle, no blood, no footprints, no explanation. And every year Matthew says nothing. When Matthew Greaves grew old, the burden of the mansion wore deep lines into his face. On his final Halloween, his wife, Eliza, stood in the doorway of the cottage and demanded the truth. "Why did we suffer here in this rotting house?" she asked. "While that mansion sat filled with treasures? Why did you give your life to something that never gave back? What's in the room, Matthew? What have we feared all these years?" He looked at her with tired, hollow eyes. "She's in there," he said quietly. "My mother." Eliza stared. "Your mother's been dead for decades." Matthew shook his head. "She's not dead, not anymore. She was the first to go mad in this house, the first to feel its call. They tried to lock her away, but it wasn't enough. So now, once a year, I let her out, so she doesn't come for us." Eliza didn't believe him. She thought he was broken, delusional, mad like the rest of his bloodline. And when he died that winter, she buried him quietly and moved into the mansion with her children. It was warm, safe, beautiful. The first week passed in silence. The second, she wandered the halls he had once kept. By the third, she stood before the bolted door, fingertips tracing the cold iron bar. She told herself there was nothing to fear. Matthew had lied, surely. There was no monster, no curse, no madness. And when Halloween arrived, Eliza unlocked the door. The room inside was empty, just a bed, a single upright chair, and a cracked mirror on the far wall. She stepped inside. On the edge of the bed sat a woman. Her hair hung in matted ropes. Her face was paper white and split with deep cracks. Her dress was rotted lace, her hands skeletal and long. She smiled, wide, wrong, and said, "I've been waiting for someone to let me out." No one ever saw Eliza again. And that Halloween, 9 people from the village vanished. The next year, the count was higher. Now every Halloween, the door swings open before dusk. So if you find yourself near the old Greaves estate on Halloween night, turn back. No matter what you hear, no matter who calls your name, Do not answer, because madness runs in blood, and now it runs free. On Halloween, the laughter starts. Not the joyful kind, but dry, cracked laughter, like bones grinding in the dark. It echoes through the locked halls of the museum, when no one is there to laugh. And always, behind the glass, a smile that shouldn't move, but does. This is the skeleton smile. The Ravens Hollow Museum sits in the heart of a forgotten town, its stone walls sinking under the weight of time. Long ago it was an asylum, but now it houses horrors of a different kind, and none more infamous than the skeleton behind the glass. Locals call it Mr. Grins. They say he was found buried beneath the foundation during renovations, sitting upright, smiling wide, arms folded like he'd been waiting. His bones are unnaturally intact, preserved far too well for something so ancient. No signs of decay, no cracks, not even dust clings to them. The joints look almost oiled, as if they were waiting to move. And when the museum lights dim just enough, some swear they've seen his ribs shift, like something breathing where no breath should be. And his grin, it stretches farther than bone should. 3 nights before Halloween, the laughter begins. Faint at first, like dry leaves brushing stone or the building settling after dark. But it always drifts from the east wing where Mr. Grin sits sealed behind thick glass. At first, it's easy to dismiss. Old pipes, wind through cracked windows. But as Halloween draws near, the laughter grows louder, sharper, until it rattles through the rafters and echoes from the exhibit room itself, even when the doors are locked and no one is inside. Each year, the curators host a midnight exhibit on Halloween. They say it's tradition. Tourists come for the thrill, mocking the old legends, scoffing at the idea of a haunted skeleton. Others leave quiet offerings at the museum steps. Coins, black candles, even tiny bone carvings, just in case the stories are true. But every year, someone goes missing. Just one. Always one. This year, it was a young woman named Emily. She lingered too long at Mr. Grin's display, drawn in by the hollow stare and that awful smile. The laughter rose like a siren scream, and when the lights flickered, Emily was gone. In her place, the skeleton's hand rested against the glass, open, as if reaching, and that awful smile had grown wider. The curator said nothing. They never do. They just nodded to one another, pale and knowing, because they understand the truth. Mr. Grins isn't a relic, he's a warden, a curse. And if he doesn't get his yearly offering, he escapes. It happened once, years ago, when the museum stayed closed. They thought they could outlast the curse. They were wrong. By sunrise, 3 homes stood silent, doors wide open. Inside, skeletal handprints smeared across the walls, claw marks etched deep into the floors, and no sign of the families who once lived there. On every mirror, a wide, unnatural grin drawn in ash, rows of jagged teeth stretched too far, matching the smile Mr. Grins never lost. The curators reopened the next year. They always have since. So if you ever hear laughter on Halloween night, dry, rattling laughter with no joy in it, stay away from Raven's Hollow. And if you can't help yourself, don't lag behind. Don't touch the glass. And whatever you do, don't smile back. There's something about carnivals, the way the lights flicker just a little too long, the way laughter sounds wrong when it echoes through the dark. They promise wonder and joy, but they're built on illusion, on masks, on things hiding in plain sight. This is the story of the carnival clowns. They say it only appears once a year, on Halloween night, when the wind shifts and the veil thins, and things not meant for this world slip through. It was a traveling carnival, bright and loud by day, strange and wrong by night. No one remembers seeing it arrive. No one sees it leave. The place is all flashing lights and music, tilted rides that creak too loudly, cotton candy that smells faintly of rotten clowns. Always the clowns. Painted faces, too wide grins, jerky movements like their joints don't quite work right. They juggle, they dance, they laugh with children. During the day. But when the sun dips low and the last child leaves the fairgrounds, something changes. The lights flicker, The music slows, and the clowns begin to shift. Their costumes stretch, their eyes darken, skin splits at the edges of their mouths. The painted smiles curl into something real and terrible with sharp pointed teeth and eyes black as pitch. They're not clowns anymore, they're hunters. They stalk in silence, moving between tents like shadows given form. Their limbs elongate, joints bending the wrong way as they slither through the dark. They follow the scent of sweat, of fear, drawn to lingering heartbeats and the soft crunch of footsteps on gravel. Their laughter becomes a signal, echoing from every direction, disorienting those still inside. They don't rush, they circle, close in, until there's nowhere left to run. No one knows what they are exactly. Some say goblins, others say worse. They skulk between tents and trailers, dragging long shadows and humming broken carnival tunes. They move in packs, crawling up walls and across ceilings, sniffing out anyone foolish enough to remain. One year, a group of teens snuck in after closing, daring each other to climb the Ferris wheel. By morning, only one was found, curled beneath where the carousel had been the day before, muttering nonsense, his face smeared in grease paint, eyes wide and unblinking. His fingers were raw, twitching like puppet strings. He never spoke again. The town searched for days, but the carnival was gone. As always, the next year a little girl went missing after slipping away from her parents at dusk. They found her shoe beside the clown tent, but nothing else. Her parents still hang lost posters and give rewards for information. Sometimes the phone rings. A chilling voice asks for mommy, then it laughs, cold, haunting in a voice similar to their daughter's, but not quite. Each Halloween, the carnival returns, just outside of town off the beaten track, just out of reach of the streetlights. If you go, you'll find the same clowns, the same music, the same sickly sweet scent in the air. And if you stay past closing, you may become part of their act. So if a carnival ever sets up near your town and the clowns seem just a little too perfect, don't go after dark. Don't follow the music. And whatever you do, never stay past closing time. Because once they see you, they don't forget. They hunt. They say the Hollow One walks on Halloween night, but it doesn't always walk alone. Some believe it chooses a host, a vessel, a child, something no longer fully human, but not yet something else. This, the story of the asylum. Don't let IT out. Deadwater Asylum looms at the edge of Black Hollow like a scar. Most people pretend it's already gone, burned out in the 80s, forgotten and sealed. But locals know better. They whisper of room 309, of the boy found inside, of the fire they started to keep him from ever leaving. And on Halloween night, the museum finally sent in a salvage crew, the last order before demolition. One worker was assigned the upper floor, the isolation wing. The air up there was colder than outside, still, thick, like the building was holding its breath. Most rooms were crumbling, doors collapsed, furniture black with mold. But room 309 still stood, door intact, iron reinforced, hinged to lock from the outside. Someone had carved 5 words into the metal frame, deep and uneven. Do not let him out. The latch hung open. The worker hesitated, then stepped inside. The flashlight beam barely cut the dark. Dust hung in the air like smoke. Chains lay coiled on the floor, glinting dully. The walls were covered in claw marks, low to the ground like someone crawling, dragging. Some of the scratches looked fresh. Then he heard it, a breath that wasn't his, a soft, rattling inhale. A whisper behind the cot, guttural, broken, like a voice unused for years trying to form words. It didn't speak clearly, but it growled something close to help, and then closer. He backed out fast, didn't report it, just logged the room condemned. That night, outside his motel room, he found something waiting. A piece of old iron, bent and rusted, shaped like part of a child's mask, still wet around the edges. The next morning, he was sent to the abandoned staff cottages. The second one had a locked office in the back. Inside a half-rotted desk drawer, he found a manila folder. Only one file inside, aged, stained, and nearly unreadable. No name, just male. Estimated age 9-11. No verbal communication. Found chained in crawl space after fire. Iron mask fused to jaw, eyes unresponsive, still breathing. The rest of the file was redacted, except one line scribbled in the margin, possibly by a staff member. Accused of multiple attacks. Animal-like behavior, claims of voices in the walls, one nurse missing, another maimed, both found with bite marks. Rumors followed him even then. No family, no records, just found wandering near the woods, silent, snarling, wearing the mask. Some say it wasn't placed on him. He was born with it. Others whisper that he came from the Hollow One itself, a curse or a warning. Behind a crumbling cabinet, the worker found a second door, barred shut. He pried it open. Inside, a cot, long rusted chains, and a cracked mirror. On the wall above it, drawn in what looked like soot, was a crude, childlike sketch. A round head, jagged with rivets, no face, just the mask. Scrawled beneath it in shaking, childlike handwriting were the words, "I'm still here." In the back corner, something shifted. Chains scraped. A whisper crawled across the floor, low, clicking, and wrong. He slammed the door shut and forced the bar back in place, then called for the entire cottage to be burned. No salvage, no report, just flames. And when the fire reached that back room, it screamed, high, inhuman, a shriek of metal and bone. Later at the diner, the worker spoke with an old man who had worked maintenance at Deadwater. The man remembered room 309, said it wasn't on the maps. Staff refused to enter it. Patients wouldn't even look at it. He said when the fire started, it began in the east wing, but the hottest flames were directly above 309. As the worker stood to leave, the old man grabbed his wrist. Some say the fire wasn't an accident, he said. They say it was the only way to seal it. Not just the boy, but what he brought with him. While the people of Black Hollow will reluctantly talk about Deadwater, they don't like to mention the Hollow One. Most won't even say the name. Many still believe it's out there. The tall figure in the woods, the whispers in the trees with dead limbs lining the old asylum drive. Since the fire, the people of Black Hollow say they can still hear it, the boy or whatever it was, scream on Halloween night. They can smell the fire, and if you are close to Deadwater, you might just see the shadow of the Hollow One followed close behind by a dark, childlike shape crawling close to the ground. Whether the boy and the Hollow One were connected, I don't know. And honestly, I don't want to. They say some graves welcome the living. Wormwood does not. Every Halloween, the earth here stirs, the night air thickens, and 5 new names emerge in stone, each chiseled by no human hand, each a death sentence, 1 year in advance. This is the story of the curse of Wormwood Cemetery. Long before Wormwood became a cemetery, it was just a barren hill outside the settlement of Ashfern. In 1813, a midwife named Eliza Caraway was accused of witchcraft after local livestock sickened and crops failed. The town's 5 most powerful men, Judge Barrow, Reverend Tull, Dr. Harker, Blacksmith Vance, and Merchant Ellis, found her guilty in a sham trial held beneath a hanging oak. Eliza spoke only once before the noose tightened. "Bind my body if you must, but my words bind you in turn. Every year 5 from your blood shall join me under this soil." They buried her where she fell. When dawn broke, a single white rose bloomed from the fresh mound, petals pale as bone, thorns dark as dried blood. It still blooms every Halloween, never before, never after, marking the witch's grave. By the next All Hallows Eve, each of the 5 men lay dead. Their surnames appeared overnight on a newly formed headstone beside Eliza's rose. Townsfolk, terrified, fenced off the hill and christened it Wormwood Cemetery. They posted a watchman every Halloween, hoping to stop whatever carved the stone. It never worked. The watcher merely bore witness as 5 more names, always from the Barrow, Tull, Harker, Vance, or Ellis lines, etched themselves into granite with a scraping sound like nails down slate. Generations passed, lineage thinned, the curse held. 43 headstones now crowd the knotted grass, all bearing the same 5 surnames repeated like the tick of a death clock. Some descendants fled Ashburn, yet the stones still found them. A sailor drowned at sea, a lawyer slain in a distant city, a college student who simply vanished. Each name had appeared the previous Halloween, each death struck on schedule the next. This Halloween, the appointed watcher waits. Midnight fog curls between crooked markers as she stands before Eliza's rose, petals gleaming under a weak harvest moon. A hush falls over the trees, the hill seems to inhale. The stone grates, dust spills. 5 names cut themselves into the blank face of the waiting slab. Barrow Tull, Parker, Vance Ellis. In front of each last name, a new name is scratched into being. Fresh as wet ink, a whisper rides the wind, half growl, half laughter. Eliza's voice, or something older, forever hungry. The white rose opens wider, and its thorns glisten crimson. The watcher backs away, heart hammering, staring at her own name, Julia Ellis. She stares at the tombstone, knowing exactly what the year will bring. Her own death. And next year, another watcher, another futile vigil, another set of names. Her own fate is sealed. Wormwood always collects. So remember this warning. Should you hear stone carving itself in the dark, or catch the scent of a single white rose blooming out of season, keep away from Wormwood Hill, for the ground still keeps its bargain and the witch's promise has never been broken. On Halloween night, the cemetery always claims its 5, and it might choose you next. Thanks for joining us tonight on Whispers After Dark, where shadows talk and the night listens. We hope you enjoyed part 2 of our special Halloween series, where each story is a little darker and the shadows linger a little longer. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and beware of the Whispers After Dark.